Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
Evening.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. So we'll start in 1 minute, and today's class would be on anger management. We'll discuss a few techniques on anger management, a few worksheets which you can easily apply on adults and children. And also, we have a special guest today, Gargi Das. She'll be taking the last end of the class with certain relaxation guided imagery techniques. So, let's get started. And hopefully, last class was enjoyable for all of you. And any questions before we start off? Because a few assignments and as well as the recording, it was a very heavy class, so it took quite a lot of time to get uploaded. So by Saturday, both these recordings will be available. Those who have missed out on a few classes, please go through the recording and at the same time complete the assignments by, say, mid-June. Okay, and the internship and everything, I will let you know. By this weekend, you will get your partners. I've listed out by city wise. I've listed out your partners so that you all can maybe meet each other, because online students won't get the opportunity to, kind of interact physically. So, if possible, meet up and discuss certain things, and then you can take it from. Okay, so I've tried as much as possible to keep two individuals from the same city, but a few of y'all are scattered across the country, so would not be possible. However, you can do it online. Okay, in the next class, I'll be explaining about the kind of a short webinar which we are going to have, giving opportunity to all of you to present, as well as the internship details. Okay, assignment submission, it remains the same by mid-June. In case you're having your exams or you just cannot complete it, try to complete it by, say, the end of June. Okay, so with that, I start off with today's class. Someone
Ma'am,
wants to
I
ask?
just have one doubt.
Yes,
Sorry for
yes.
interrupting.
Tell me.
Can we get compiled worksheets whichever we have gone through classes so that it is easy to utilize in future?
Yes, yes, of course. See, all the materials will be uploaded in the drive which I had already shared with you. Okay, the last class, the material, we are still building upon it. So once it's ready by this weekend, you will get it along with this class material. So whatever reading material, worksheets, whatever you have, it will be in PDF form, uploaded in the same drive link. I'll reshare the drive link. Okay, so that you can access it as and when you want to. And the YouTube channel, if you subscribe, it has the recording. So even if I don't send it in the group, it comes as a notification to you. So you can also browse through the recordings for each week. Okay.
Thank you,
The
ma'am.
entire thing will be listed in the drive. All right. So let's get started with today's class. So before we get into exploring anger, let's go through what we generally feel. What are the very core basic emotions? I'm pretty sure all of you know what emotions are. So, a quick recap. Can someone tell me what emotions are? What are emotions in the easiest possible way, if we can explain? Yes, anyone out here? Yes. No one? Come on.
Happy, sad, anxiety,
Yes.
doubtful, uncertain,
Yes.
fearful, panic.
Okay. Wonderful. Okay, so it's basically a feeling, how you're feeling inside. It can be both positives and negatives. It can be neutral. It can be indifference. Okay, so all these are basically on a continuum. Okay, and two or more emotions can happen at the same time. We can feel an array of emotions throughout the day. So it's like moving from one emotion to the other. If you remember your mood tracker, if you have been doing it diligently, you'll see there are ups and downs. There are so many various kinds of emotions you're feeling day in and day out. Okay, over a period of time, you will get to see that your dominant emotions are taking shape. Has anyone worked upon the mood tracker? Anyone here who has really worked upon the mood tracker for like quite a few days right now? So it has been around a month we are into this class. Anyone? Yes, if you would like to share your experience with the mood tracker, how do you find it,
I
or what's your
I
experience?
do I do it in a different way.
Mhm.
I do a scribble
Mhm.
in a page, and I use the different colors which explains my emotions, different
Okay.
emotions for the last week, and it was
Okay.
wonderful for me.
Okay, so that's nice. That's another technique maybe you all can all use, right? So thank you for sharing. Anyone else who would like to talk about if you have been working on the mood tracker?
Ma'am,
Yes, yes, please.
I have been working with mood tracker, like simple mood tracker about like how happy, sad, anxious,
Mm-hmm.
disgust, that sort of thing is there. How like in a week, how the person is feeling, and daytime or evening time, if it is, they can specifically mention, or they
Right.
can mention why did they felt. So it's a amazing thing, so that it gives more clarity about the thought during the
Okay.
session when I take.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Well,
Thank you for sharing. Yes, Dinaz, you want to say something?
Evening, ma'am. Am I
Good evening.
audible?
Yes, yes, you are.
Yeah, I have not been journaling much about it, but I keep it like I try to be consciously aware of, okay, how am I feeling? Which color would I associate? Or sometimes I would mix it up with what is in my heart right now. So I
Mhm.
go from one activity to another and keep
Right.
it free flowing. And I can see that sometimes, mostly around in the morning till noon, I'm feeling energetic, excited. Around the noon, there is a dip, or sometimes in the evening, I'm feeling excited, happy, maybe because of my workout or anything. So
Mm-hmm.
I really love that, and I look forward to writing a proper, journal about it and submit it as an assignment. So yeah, thank you so much for that.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for working on it. So those who have still not, kind of started working on it, or you have not been into the regular mode of doing it, it is absolutely, it's kind of wonderful to see how it shapes up. So it's highly recommended that you do the mood tracker. It helps you in multiple ways. Unless and until you do it, me just talking about it won't help, and it's a long term thing. Of course, you need to have that patience and everything. So my suggestion is those who are procrastinating it or maybe not regularly doing it, keep that sheet and a few color pencils, where you can easily access it, because most of the time we are so busy as professionals, as students, that most of the time we don't feel like taking it out from a cupboard and then sitting with it and doing it. It's just a small tip. Keep it somewhere visible and keep it somewhere easily accessible, so that you just sit and just take out 5 minutes in a day and complete the work. But the kind of feedback you will get, it's wonderful. So this is one part of understanding emotions, and this is one tool which we generally widely use in therapeutic settings or counseling settings. It works wonderfully with children also. You'll be surprised how many days they are feeling a particular emotion and it's a recurring thing for them. And then you find out from certain case histories as to what leads to that emotion. So, moving on, um, what are emotions? It's basically emotions are strong feelings. It may be mild also, it's not necessarily always strong. From one circumstances, mood, or relationships. So, it's environmental as well as very, very, very personal as well. And emotional labeling often happens due to internal and external events which influences us. So internal events would be like our way of thinking, how we are brought up, what are the ethics, values, expectations, what we believe in. All these things are internal circumstances which leads to labeling of certain emotions. External events are of course not under our control most of the time, which is outside our locus of control. So one is internal locus of control, which is within our boundaries, within ourselves, and the external locus of controls are the circumstances which lead to feeling certain emotions. So, with these two influences, we generally feel what we say emotions. And the most common ones are anger, which is a state of displeasure or annoyance. Anger has various, kind of levels to it. So, it starts with irritation, then frustration, then extreme anger, then aggression, then hostility. Even jealousy is part of anger if you can look at it in a different way. So, anger, one basic emotion. The next one is sadness. Very common. We feel sadness, we feel anger. So, it's not that it is something very unusual to feel these emotions. It can be an state or a feeling which leads to a loss or despair or grief or heaviness inside. Okay, loathing, heaviness, sorrow, disappointment, helplessness, self pity. All these things are associated with sadness. Happiness is what we always want. We always want to be happy, jovial, laughing, bright, alert, so excited, proud, relieved, less stressful, de-stressed and all. So if we feel those emotions, it's more related to happiness, which we are always striving. Surprise is another element, and in fact emotion which is a part of us, and it's not very often that we feel surprised, but yes, it's part of our growing up, it's part of our maturity as well. Disgust also has overlapping emotions. When we do not like something, when we are angry, when we don't want to do, we are frustrated, disgusted. So this also has an overlap of emotions, but we feel it more often. Fear is yet another very primitive emotion which has been present in us like for time immemorial. So fear is a very, very basic thing which leads to a lot of triggers inside our body. Okay, we'll just briefly talk about it. The physiology about fear and anger similar, but it leads to different labeling. Okay, so here is a very short icebreaker, and it's a projective technique again. So, based on the expression which is on the screen, what do you think the person is feeling and why? Okay, what do you think the person is feeling and why? We have discussed a few emotions from the emotion wheel, if you remember. So, you can quickly write it down, maybe. Yes. Yes, Janvi? Sagarika?
Yeah, so it looks like more of an anger because of if you focus on the eyes and the formation of the lips.
Mm-hmm.
So if you focus on these two elements, it kind of reflects anger. So yeah, everything.
Okay. Okay. You are saying that it's anger.
Yeah, and also the eyebrows also, like if you
Okay.
focus on these different elements of the face.
Mm-hmm. Someone writes it's disgust, confused, and anger, disappointment, frustration, okay, agitated, confusion, all right, annoying, irritated. Okay, so mostly we can see a lot of negative emotion. No one will say that this person is happy inside, isn't it? So it's either anger, fear, disappointment, confusion. These are the four things which came up. Now, why do you think the person is feeling that way? If someone wants to share, you can also share.
Facial features.
Okay. Facial features. Why do you think the person is feeling that way? So make it into a story.
Ma'am, do you want a story or just like
Yes.
a one liner?
One liner story will also do enough.
Ma'am, because like person is not able to figure out things, like that's why it's feel like the person is feeling confused and irritated.
The person is unable to, sorry, I didn't.
Unable to figure out things, what is happening, like some major decision or something, uh, any sort of decision which
Okay.
person is facing, like irritated and confused.
Mhm. Okay. All right. And what else?
Ma'am, this much only.
Okay. Fine.
Maybe something is not up as per the person's expectations. So,
Mm-hmm.
kind of shocked, flabbergasted.
All right. Okay. Loss of control.
Yes.
Anything else? Okay. Okay. Anything else? Anyone who would like to
Ma'am,
share
I,
that?
yes, ma'am. I feel that as if the girl is saying, like, really. I feel it is disbelief that somebody has given a reason that this task cannot be done, and
Mm-hmm.
the person in the picture is saying that, like, really, is this the reason you are giving me? I mean, the person feels that it is not valid.
Okay. So there is some issue with understanding the logic behind things.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Yes. Others, how do
Ma'am, I
you see?
think
Yes.
the girl is in a situation.
Mm-hmm.
He's not liking the surroundings, not able
Mm-hmm.
to understand what is happening around.
Mm-hmm.
That's why she is very she is looking very angry with the with the thought that why I am here.
All right.
And maybe she is little scared that everything is not very comfortable for her,
Mm-hmm.
so that maybe these two expressions like anger and fear are coming together.
Okay. Okay. All right. Anyone else? Others, what about others? What do you feel? Give a
So,
one-liner story.
I feel like the person is confused because there are some unwavering thoughts. The symbol there is having both ups and lows. So there is some inconsistency that is happening around, which is
Mm-hmm.
making the person confused.
Okay, fine.
I don't think any of these. I thought the expression was
Mm-hmm.
very amusing
Okay.
because this mother has two toddlers who are just creating a lot of tantrums and she's amused at what all they can do. So it's an
All
expression
right.
of amusement,
Okay.
not able to handle stuff, so many things together.
Okay. Okay. Nice. Okay. Okay. Most of you are writing that it's a shocking thing. How can this happen? And you're not getting my point. A lot of you have written that. Okay. Now let's. Anyone else who would like to talk about it? Then I'll move on to the explanation part.
Maybe I can go ahead.
Yes, please.
So I was just trying to unravel that thoughts, that is exact line. Maybe it means something. So there is some sort of unpredictability that is going around her mind, or maybe chaotic thought.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she is have finding difficult to decipher the situation in front of her. So that's why, and she's putting hard on herself, beating herself up to know what is happening. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's what her face is describing, perhaps.
Okay. Okay. Okay, great. Anyone else? Otherwise, I'll start with the next part. Okay. So most of you have kind of, projective technique is basically a reflection of our subconscious, unconscious mind. So here, what is happening is when you are labeling the emotion, no one has told you that this person is angry, but by the facial expression, we are generally kind of conditioned to believe either it's disgust or anger. And someone else told us that it's amusing. She's trying to see her toddlers moving around, and it's kind of amusing to see. Maybe there's a hint of irritation, but then it's amusing to see. So we have kind of projected what we are generally feeling inside. Someone has talked about anxiety, fear, anger, disgust, loathing, all these emotions. If you look into yourself, if you start introspecting, you will see that most of them are related to what you are currently feeling. And specifically the story, when you look at the story, a one liner story will also give you insight as to why you feel blocked or why you feel angry. Most of the time when you have the surge of anger, it's due to the story which you have given us. Okay, if you can relate, can if someone is relating, can you tell me if you can relate to it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, things didn't turn out my way, so most of the time I feel that, okay, I'm blocked. I whatever I do always messes up. Okay, someone who has written that. So whatever you have projected, it's embedded in your subconscious, unconscious mind, and that's what triggers your anger most of the time. It cannot be 100% situation, but most of the time when you are absolutely mad, like you are frustrated or you just can't take it anymore, we all have those moments, when we are completely losing it, or when we cannot understand what's happening and we are totally angry on something, or frustrated or irritated or anxious or fearful. So at the peak of that moment, most of the time, the reason which you have projected, the story which you have projected, generally comes into play, wherein you are also experiencing the same thing. So it's the quickest way to find out what goes wrong, and what triggers you. Someone said that, I'm not being heard. The girl feels that she's not being heard. So it might be the situation for you as well, that you feel you're not being heard, and that's why you experience these negative emotions, the peak of these negative emotions. Okay, so this is one very quick technique which you can use it with your own check-in as well as others who are coming to you. You can do as a quick check-in as to what can be the reason behind the anger, why the person feels that way. Okay, so any questions? Anything you would like to ask?
Ma'am, can I ask something?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, if someone cannot give the explanation,
Mhm.
so what will be the interpretation?
See, if you cannot give an explanation, you, as a therapist or as a guide, you can always give them cues as to what was happening. Okay, what is happening and what will happen. The same way which we did with the TAT card, the first card, you can do it with this
Yes.
also. That's a storytelling technique. It's a projective technique which gives you instant kind of projection of what the person might be feeling inside, but is not unable to, not able to express themselves. But in many cases, I've seen that they don't want to speak. You can always
Yeah, I have a doubt here,
okay.
ma'am. Yeah.
Yes.
So what if the client is very much reluctant to know answer, knowing that this is some sort of projection, trying consciously not to answer what they have inside them.
Mhm. It's okay. You can park it for the time being. You can apply some other technique, but not actually responding to what you want them. What you are, kind of suggesting them could reflect either there is a lack of confidence or there is some kind of defiance working inside. Self-defiance. It can work both ways. Defiance as well as lack of confidence or the fear of being judged. So that can be also insightful as to how they are processing their anger. We'll talk about the different types of anger in a while. You'll be able to correlate that very well then. Okay, so not responding or having a block generally means that you are in a state of numbness. Okay, that's also an emotion, what we feel. We don't feel anything at all. Okay, I've also talked about this. When you're not feeling anything, do a lot of grounding exercises so that your touch with reality, your nervous system starts, that jerk or that restart is required, that reboot is required, and that can only be processed through grounding, touching,
Okay, thank you,
smelling,
ma'am.
worrying, all these mindfulness techniques. Okay, so if they are not responding, that can indicate some kind of block.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, any more questions, anything you would like to reflect on?
Ma'am, I would like to ask. So, ma'am, if there is some client who is suicidal
Mm-hmm.
and is talking openly about it
Mm-hmm.
while doing this icebreaker,
Mm-hmm.
in such situation, what would be the intervention used for suicidal clients?
See, suicidal clients as a whole different perspective here. The moment you come to know about it, you are the first informers. Okay. So
Yeah.
immediately with consent, taking a forced consent only, you have to convince them with your skills that someone needs to be informed. Many a times, specifically adolescents, they are very reluctant on letting their parents know or their caregivers know. But you have to put your foot down because it's legally stated that if you know someone is suicidal, you have to inform the caregiver.
Yeah.
Okay, even in our counseling contract, we have these terms and conditions that in case of harming someone else or harming oneself, you have
Yes.
to inform a person who's taking care of them.
Yeah. So,
Okay,
ma'am,
so
even
that's a basic rule. That's a basic ground rule, but then
yeah.
it depends on your skills, how you kind of, convince them to share the information. You have to give a lot
And
of
even, ma'am,
assurance.
okay. And ma'am, even risk assessment can be assessed now. जैसे
Yes, yes,
कब से
yes.
ये thought आ रहा है and all of it.
But the moment you come to know, you will be held
Yeah.
responsible for that. The moment you come to know, you have to inform the caregiver, give them directions as to what they can do about it.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Yes, one more. Yes.
I just want to just what Kosha was asking
Mhm.
on that only. Just you
Yes.
just said if someone come to know that the person, if any therapist come to know that person is a suicidal, that
Mhm.
and if he does not inform anyone, it is ethically wrong.
Yes. Yes.
So what in that case? And if you think that person had not informed the family and the person and that person, that client,
Hmm.
he goes through the suicide, then what should as the family should do?
Sorry, ma'am, I didn't quite get to the point. Like you knew about it, but the family didn't know about it.
Yes.
See, that can be legally challenging for a therapist. So
Hmm.
if the family, it's not only about a therapist, it can be any person who comes to know about it. So they basically a person who gets to know is called a gatekeeper.
Yes.
Okay, so the gatekeepers, you have to inform. You are responsible. You're held responsible that you had this information and you didn't share with the concerned people.
Uh,
Specifically, the family members whoever is there around the person, they need to be informed immediately, and then the interventions start. Therapy starts or medication, whatever is required.
okay.
In that course, if the person goes through something of this unlucky incident, then it's a different thing. But if you knew about it and you did not inform, and the family comes to know about it, they may take legal actions against you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
But that depends on the family what they want.
Uh,
But
okay.
ethically speaking, you should always, gatekeepers have the responsibility to inform.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so let's move on then. I hope you could relate to this projective technique. It's a very short, quick technique, but it's pretty useful if you want to do a check-in, quick check-in. So this is what I was talking about, emotion wheel. Last day also we had I had shared it in the PDF, I guess so. So these are basic emotions which has different layers to it. Now, if we zoom into anger, since we are talking about anger today, so if we zoom into it, you can see there are so many different, perspective to anger as well. You can feel offended, indignant, dismayed, bitter, frustrated, aggressive. Aggressive is the highest form of anger. Throwing objects, hitting someone, harming yourself. So it can be internal, external, both ways. Feeling harassed, even boredom to some extent has an element of anger, and feeling rushed. You're always pressurized. You feel out of breath. You feel kind of a lack of time. You're always rushing and you're always busy. You don't you cannot relax yourself. So all these come under the aegis of anger. And if you kind of look into yourself or look into the emotions which you feel regarding this spectrum, you'll be able to pinpoint. If you're having problem to identify your area, you can look at the orange side and try to pinpoint what you feel generally. Okay, so a lot of you may be feeling jealous many a times. Often you feel jealous, or often you feel infuriated, hostile, annoyed. Okay, it can be different for different people depending on your situation in and around you, or how you're looking at situations inside. Okay, so internal, external, please remember these two. Whichever emotion you're going through, we always have this internal locus of control where we are responsible, held responsible for feeling certain things, and the external locus of control, which is not under our direct, responsibility. But we have to adjust with that. So, brief physiology of anger. Anger and anxiety more or less similar. The triggers are similar, but then how we are labeling it differs, how we are perceiving that emotion. So, what happens in anger is when we are triggered by certain memories or certain things, it kind of shuts down our prefrontal cortex. Why? Because the level of stress goes up. So, fight and flight response is triggered. Even for anxiety, fight and flight is triggered. Okay, either we have to fight it out or run away from it. But for anger, it's most often the fight response which takes over. Okay, since we are angry, we are labeling it as anger. That has annoyed me, the trigger has annoyed me, and I'm really, really infuriated because there's a blockage of certain needs or wants or desires. So what I do is I either fight it out or leave it alone or run away from the situation. Okay. So when I'm fighting out, when my body is into a fight and flight response, what happens? The first few things, what happens is our prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for logical reasoning, it shuts down. Same happens for anxiety as well. It shuts down. Then what happens is our gut shuts down, digestion shuts down, our hand starts trembling because we need a lot of energy to fight. All the energies goes to our limbs, wherein we are prepped up, the body is geared up to fight that situation. Thereby, when we are angry, when we are feeling angry, we feel hot, we feel a lot of energy in our limbs, we want to kick, we want to throw things, we want to shout out because we need to scream. So all these viscerals of our body, it gets all pumped up with a lot of blood and energy. Okay, and we need to vent out, and then we start talking all bad things because our logic stops. Okay, and only our primal instincts comes over. What we want to say, we blurt it out. We say a lot of wrong things, we do a lot of wrong things. Okay, so this mixture is very deadly. A lot of energy in your limbs and prefrontal cortex being shut down by the brain. So what happens here is both are very deadly to you. So in states of anger, what we do is we do a lot of things which we didn't mean to do. You must have heard this phrase that I didn't mean to say this, but it just blurted out. I didn't mean to throw it, or I didn't mean to slap you, but I slapped or hit you or harmed myself, hit my head on the wall. So you'll see a lot of children saying these, a lot of adults even saying this. So what exactly we are looking at is a disruption in our prefrontal cortex and a lot of extra energy in our limbs. So if we can control these two, specifically the energy levels in our limbs, we can control how we are feeling anger. Okay, feeling anger is not a problem, but reacting to it is a problem. Right? So a lot of things happen when we react when we are angry. If we keep quiet, if we calm down, if we take a walk or we distract ourselves, you see that, okay, that thing was not required to be said or done. Okay, I could have easily managed it. So if you're reacting in states of anger, it's mostly physiological. How you label it, what set you off is emotional. It's your internal locus of control. But most of the reactions which comes out through is due to physiological changes in your body. If you can, please laminate. If you can, if you take a picture and laminate and show it to your clients, show it to children, you can have easier versions so that they understand anger. Understanding anger can also lead to a lot of control over it. Because most of the time when we are hitting, throwing things and all, we don't know why we are doing it. After we have calmed down, we don't even know why we broke our phone. That was like silly. We shouldn't have. It's a loss. Why we couldn't think? Because our prefrontal cortex had shut down. So we need to find out ways how we can not stop the prefrontal cortex. Okay, so this is just the physiological part. If you want to read about it more, you can go ahead, read it. But this much will help you to understand or make people understand why we react during states of anger. So we need to trigger the parasympathetic nervous system in order to calm ourselves down, which can come through either deep breathing, moving away from the situation, taking a walk. So whatever extra energy we have inside us, we need to shed it off. That's the only goal. That's why we have stress balls. That's why we have punching bags. That's why we ask you all to go and take a walk or move away from the situation so that you don't blurt out all wrong things. Okay, so that can help you physiologically if you are in state of fury or anger. Cut yourself off from the situation, move away from the situation, and start doing something which will shed your energy. That should be the goal. Okay. Okay, now let's move on to our activities. So there are a series of prompts to you. I will give you the prompts, and I hope you have the Play-Doh. I have this, which is easily available now these days in the market, easy to handle also. These are air dry clay, pretty cheap as well. You can have your own set of clay,
Can't see
or
anything, ma'am. Hello?
Ma'am, your video is off.
my video is off. I can see myself. I don't know. Can you see now? No?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
Nothing is.
No, ma'am, we can't
one
see.
second. Let me just go back. Can you see now? Can you see me now?
Yes, yes, we can see now.
So this
Yes,
is
ma'am.
what this is easily available now these days. It comes with a lot of tools as well. I got it for how much? 40 rupees, this entire bunch. 40 or 50 rupees, something like that. Okay, so this is easy to handle. If you don't have it, it's fine, no problem. You can always use atta, maida, anything you have at home. Or if you're working with clients, you can keep a small tray of clay, or those plasticine, play dough, what we say. So you can keep those as well. Okay, so before we start off, I just wanted to show you that. And for your prompts, the first prompt is give a texture to your anger. Okay, if you have to give a texture to your anger, what would that be? You can write it, you can note down in your journal, whichever way you want to. Don't think much, just think of your anger situations. If you have to give some texture to your anger, what would that be? And the next prompt is give a color to your anger. So color and texture. For me, I can see that spiky red color ball, which spikes out like antennas, but it's not a very hard one. It's like squishy. You can mold it and stretch it, those rubbery things which you have. So what comes to my mind is that. So if you can write it down in the chat maybe, or if you want to speak about it. The prompts are give a color and a texture to your anger. Mine is a red one with a stretchy, rubbery texture, but it has spikes like a porcupine all over. Okay, hard and rough, orangish red. Okay, spiky ball.
Mine is like a net,
Okay, okay,
and it's orangish yellow, lighter color.
okay, okay. Hot and fluid. Okay, uncontrollable. Okay. Black, hard and spiky. Okay. So again, if we have to go by the meanings, before we go by the meanings, if you can yourself describe what it's like.
Red snowflake.
Okay, red snowflake, right? Okay, nice. That's an unusual one I've heard. Red snowflake. Red round stone, reddish brown with
Ma'am,
broken
can
pieces.
my anger have many colors in it?
Okay, nice, interesting.
Pattern?
So, what's the texture like?
Some sort of scotchy or rough,
Okay,
rough texture.
rough texture. Okay, fine. Rock creamed. All right. Okay, so if you look at your color and texture, if it's like fuzzy, if it's like, kind of nets and stretchy, what can you think about your own anger styles? What can be your own anger style? What do you feel it is? Like if I have to go by the metaphorical meaning without looking at the symbol meaning or the color meaning, red is always an energy color. So it's like an alert system for me. And then it's spiky all over, but it doesn't prick me. Because I had a constant issue with anger, but now since I'm working on it, it's more like I can, stretch it around and see whether I'm comfortable. So I feel more under control. So this thing came up to me. What about yours? How would you describe your own anger? Forget about the interpretations where we have to look into the color meaning and all those things that comes later. But the first thing, what you can do is ask the person whom you're working on this, what do you feel about this? How does it relate to your anger style?
Ma'am, I think for me, black would be, when you zoomed into that feeling wheel and there were many, many other emotions, jealousy and this and that. So I guess I would be feeling a lot of things and they all mesh and become black. And
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's hard and spiky for me. Like, that's what came to my mind. I mean, I could relate to what you shared a couple of moments ago, that you have had problems with anger, but now you feel like you are more in control. I too feel that, but right now I couldn't relate to that. Maybe I
Mm-hmm.
require a bit more work on that, and it's really interesting. So yeah, that's what I
Yes, yes.
come up.
Introspection, but then you can also refer. The next level would be to refer to the color meanings as well.
Sure.
Okay, texture is more metaphorical. If
Hmm.
you have softer textures, it's more like malleable. You have some control. If it's hard, it's more like a rigid thing, which is a recurring thing, which is happening to you,
Yeah,
which is
correct.
not maybe changing. It's difficult to change. That approach is there. And going by the colors, red, black, red is more of an alert color. But
Hmm.
then if you go by the black color meaning, it's like
Absorbing, yeah.
absorbing others' emotions, absorbing others' viewpoint, and then you to get very frustrated easily, and then you can't do anything about it because it's not under your control. It's an external locus of control.
Yeah. I also love the way when you were explaining about anger a few minutes back, you also said a statement which is stuck in my head, that how you view the situations.
Yes,
So
exactly.
that was something that was very powerful for me. I even wrote it down in my journal.
Okay.
So I think that is something that I could and I would want to work upon more.
Hmm. Right, right. So anyone who has these hard, spiky, stiff textures, metaphorically, it would mean that it's causing harm either to yourself or to
Can I
someone
go
else.
ahead?
Yeah, I do
Yes.
have the such, ma'am. I have rough
Mm-hmm.
surface, maybe a triangle shaped or some sort of such
Mm-hmm.
thing which has white theme in it and red ball patterned color.
Mm-hmm. So, what do you feel about it first? Related to your anger styles, what do you feel about it?
I think this is not very me, but as I say, there are many uncertainties which happened recently in my life. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
I'm facing a lot of issue with that. I'm trying to control my anger. Maybe sometimes without controlling or out of my control,
Mm-hmm.
I'm little harsh on me and my surrounding as well. So
Right.
I think things are going in that way.
So
And
maybe you can introspect what can make you more calmer or composed, or what can make you more happier. Okay, the last thing what we do is that. So white would always mean that you're rejecting others' emotions. You're kind of not looking into others' needs, emotions, or what their viewpoint is. So white can be a rejection of that emotion.
okay, so I it means rejecting others'
White
emotion.
generally means you're rejecting, you're not absorbing. Hers one is more of absorbing, you're taking in a lot of secondhand stress. Yours one is
Mm.
more of not looking into things at all. You know, it's more like you're just looking at what you want and not understanding what other people are wanting.
Okay.
Green would be a balancing color again. Green is more of new learning or maybe certain new projects which you have taken up, or you want to learn something new. You want to start off with certain changes, but something is stopping it. So you're kind of getting angry because of that. Okay, so you can quickly go through those color meanings also, but I would request you to first introspect as to what you feel those textures and colors mean to your anger. Red is an alert color. It is a quick reactive color. Like you're quick to anger. You are reacting more. Okay, that's a reaction color.
My
But
picture is
ma'am, but I don't react
Mm-hmm.
quickly. Like I have my own patience level,
Mm-hmm.
and when that limit crosses,
Mm-hmm.
then I'm triggered to anger. But
So
when
what
you
was your
told me to
texture?
think about,
Mm-hmm. Yes, tell me.
sorry,
No, you continue.
yeah, but when you told me to think of any color when we feel angry,
Mm-hmm.
first it was black, then the red color became more stronger. So I replied with red.
Okay. So first is an absorbing color. That's how you're reacting also. That's your reaction style. You're absorbing a lot of things and then reacting. You kind of absorb and then react. So that's how you also interpreted it.
So black is for observation, ma'am.
It's absorbing. You're absorbing other people's energies, secondhand stress.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. This goes correctly. Thank you. Thank you for explaining.
Thank you. Okay, next you can work upon the shape. I'm pretty sure with the texture, color, shape has also come up. So if it's pointy and rigid, if it's spiky, it's more towards inflicting, might be a reactive thing. Okay, maybe you're causing harm. Not only physical harm, but emotional harm as well. Maybe you're reactive, you're speaking about certain things, or you're quickly doing certain things which you don't mean. Certain soft malleable textures can be something to do with control over that emotion. Okay, whichever your emotion you're looking at, you can do this quick exercise to understand how you're reacting to that particular reaction, whether it's soft, hard, or semi soft, or fluid. Fluid is out of control. You don't have any control over it, or you're totally confused about that emotion, why it's occurring to you. Okay, so this is one part to it. Now, there are a few things which you can look into. This is the sixth dimension of anger. These are the domains through which we look at anger. This is good for reading. Direction of anger, whether it's reflection, whether we are reflecting on it, or whether we are reacting to it, whether we are throwing it out. Okay. Internalizing and externalizing. Internalizing means we are causing more harm to ourselves through our anger. So locus of control is internal for ourselves, or is it towards others? Being giving sarcastic remarks or abusive or aggression. All these are externalizing, where we are throwing out the anger. Resistance and retaliation. Resistance is more or less we are not trying to look at it, even we are not trying to we are avoiding it. Retaliation is we are reacting to it, we are expressing it wholly. Verbal, physical, it's easy to understand two aspects of anger. Either it's verbal or physical by nature. Controlled and uncontrolled. When impulsivity, we are looking into whether we can control our anger or we can't control our anger. When it's uncontrolled, then the therapeutic part or the counseling part takes in, where it might lead to pathological anger issues as well. And the objective anger, restorative, that means we want to constructively work on it, or is it punitive, that means destructive by nature. So anger has both the facets, positives and negatives. If we are angry, we tend to work more and try to prove ourselves and be more productive, or else it can be destructive as well. We start procrastinating, we start avoiding, we stop working. Out of anger, we don't do anything at all. Okay, so procrastination also has this aspect of anger as well. You can read about this more. I've given the URL as well, lifesupportcounseling.com.au. The types of anger, good for a read and also to understand what type you're into. This you can do it as an assignment as to which category you generally fall into. And I'll also share a questionnaire on anger styles and how far you are, into the scale. Okay, so I'll send you the this part as well as your questionnaire, which you can do it as your self reflection activity. Those are more quantitative nature, so that's more objective by nature. These are not reflective exercises. These are good for a check-in. Yes, ma'am, tell me.
What does a snowflake mean?
See,
I
snowflakes are
couldn't
very fragile.
understand that.
You said a red snowflake, maybe you're reactive, but then you melt down very fast. So that can be the thing. Very fragile. It melts down very fast. So it's like maybe there's a conflict between there's a moral aspect to it. Should I be angry? Should I talk back, or should I just calm down? So there is this moral aspect which you might be getting more into. That's your pattern. Yes. Okay, so assertive anger examples are given, expressing frustration to a roommate about their consistent failure to clean up shared spaces. You're, being assertive, and that makes you angry. You're telling the same thing again and again, but no one's listening to you. Okay, so that's assertive anger, and thereby you are angry. Behavioral anger is slamming the door out of frustration. Means at the smallest context, you kind of react to it very, very harshly. So that's like a behavioral anger. It's like it's into your pattern of personality. Chronic anger, feeling irritable or resentful most of the time. You're constantly complaining about certain things. Okay, it's not like spurts of anger, it's about constant irritation, constant loathing, constant negative talk. Destructive anger is about taking revenge. So you have a lot of vengeance inside you. You take out revenge. It's not that you're only angry, you also make sure that the person suffers. Okay. Moral or judgmental anger is mostly related to your moral aspects, where you are seeing a lot of undue things happening around you and you are protesting against it. It's more of a social cause. Overwhelming anger is due to a minor mistake or minor frustration, you are blowing it out. Okay, you become very stressful, jittery, anxious. There's this anxiousness also with anger. Okay, you feel overwhelmed, you feel out of control. Passive aggressive are silent killers because then you suffer alone. You become extremely self-loathing. Rather than expressing anger, you bottle it up. So that can be detrimental for oneself. Retaliatory anger is a very common way because you start reacting to things, you express yourself very well, and then you get rid of that anger. Self abusive is again binge eating, procrastination, maybe getting into smoking, drinking, getting into a lot of junk food. Okay, not doing your household chores. So it's more like a distraction from feeling anger, and you keep on doing that. You can also self harm. A lot of BPD cases have this self abusive anger. Okay, so one type. And then silent anger, bottling up your frustration without addressing the issue directly. Okay. uh, Silent anger and passive aggressive is passive aggressive, you will be angry but you'll take it out in a different way, not by expressing anger. But silent anger is totally bottling up the anger, not even reacting in in a different way. Verbal anger is about abuses and all. Volatile anger is quick to react and quick to disappear. Deliberate anger is about inflicting harm again deliberately. You plan it out and then work around the entire thing and then do it. It's like a long-term plan thing out of jealousy. So jealousy also has this anger aspect. Habitual anger is uh,
Sorry, how is this different from distractive anger? You said that will come around some. You will use
See,
some
destructive
vengeance.
anger is quick to do. This person has caused me harm, so I'm going to take revenge. So it's determined. For deliberate anger, it's more like even the smallest of things, you make an elaborate plan, long term plan, and you work around and you kind of, have elaborate things lined up to kind of disrupt the person for a very long period of time. Okay, so this is a little
Yes.
different from destructive anger. Addictive and habitual is provoking arguments, that is basically instigating someone. Okay, maybe you're at peace, you're not even angry, but you need that adrenaline rush, and it's like pathological by nature. Okay, so you find it pleasurable to see other people irritated. In return, you get into an argument, and then that gives you a sense of safety. Okay, that's kind of pathological. So if you can identify the types of anger, it will help you to understand whether the person needs some kind of deeper intervention, or is it just a normal course of anger which the person is going through. So if you have clients who are coming with anger issues, you'll mostly see a lot of people under these destructive, retaliatory, self-abusive, even passive aggressive, deliberate anger, addictive anger, habitual anger. All these you will see the pattern surfacing. And if you tally it with the questionnaire which I'll be sending you on anger, you'll be able to see that how far the person reacts to, or how grave the problem is.
Ma'am, can you repeat volatile anger alone again?
Yes. Volatile anger is basically when you are reacting very fast, throwing things, banging doors, and then suddenly, you that rage goes away after some time. So it's like quick to react, but quick to uh, kind of silence yourself as well. You are quick to reduce your anger.
This is similar to behavioral anger, right, ma'am?
Behavioral anger is more often. Volatile anger remains with you for a shorter period of time.
Oh,
Behavioral is like consistently you're reacting to that same pattern. You'll be angry for a lot longer period of time with banging doors and not talking to anyone, throwing food. All these are behavioral anger. But volatile is more like, if someone tells you something, maybe a frustration phone call, you'll throw your phone away, and then you suddenly realize, okay, I'm not doing the right thing, and then you come back to your normal state.
So, ma'am, if there is a client who has to do this, the questionnaire will help, or how do we go about?
See, this will be good for your knowledge, because if you ask your client which category you belong to, they will never agree to it. Like
Exactly.
if you are engaging in certain acts, they will never agree to that, isn't it? So they'll be feeling a little offended. But as per your conversation, case history, observation, you can kind of roughly put them into a cluster and see if further interventions or deeper interventions are required or not. The questionnaire, you can always go ahead and show them and ask them to do it. Right?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. So we are coming to this part. One second. What makes you feel happy? If you can write it down, maybe in a jar, you can draw it out. What are the little things with that makes you happy, that can kind of conclude or manage your anger in a proper way? Why? Because we need to shift our the thought processes, or we need to vent out our physical energy when we are angry. So making them understand all these aspects related to happiness can also let them understand what they feel happier about, and then how they can deflect from the normal patterns of anger they are engaging in. Okay, it's not a regular mode of anger which we are engaging in, it's always more than the average. So more than the average will require certain interventions which can balance off their frustration. Okay, so a very quick technique and a very effective technique is every day list down 10 tiny little things. This is an exercise which you can do from now onwards and see how what all changes comes about. Okay, 10 tiny little things that gave you joy. Maybe that this you can do it as an Instagram or a Facebook storyline as well, where you just take pictures or maybe write about it in the story and put down 10 tiny little things that made you happy. It can be maybe a cat caught crossing the road, or something very silly. It may not be a very meaningful thing also. Okay, so any kind of instances, circumstances, things which you saw, people whom you met, anything that gave you even a second of happiness. Why tiny? Because those tiny moments are also very much important in our lives. We forget those tiny moments. That will make you more grateful. So this is an alternative exercise, you can say, instead of writing what you're grateful for, you can always focus on what made you happy throughout the day, and not big things, but very, very tiny, silly things also. Okay, maybe you
Okay,
can journal it, maybe you can put it in the stories. That will be lovely to see as well. So you can always, maybe if I open the group, you can always put it down or send pictures. It will give you a feel as to what all very small things can also have that power to give us a lot of happiness. And when we are reflecting on it at the end of the day, we see that there are so many things positive around us, right?
At the moment, I want to share one small moment, which
Yes,
happened in college
yes,
days.
yes.
So during college days, I was very much interested in doing researches. So I thought of conducting this as a research, and I have assigned my participants to do an activity which involve, exactly the same. They have to jot down what was the happiest thing they went through the whole day. So usually they have to put as a status in WhatsApp or in Instagram in night time. So
Okay.
whatever they felt very happy throughout the day, they have to put it in status. So this I conducted for 100 days. So
Oh,
I
wonderful.
yeah, I got the feedback was like they were very happy after after uploading it in the status. It became a habit for them,
Yes.
for them to focus on the positives which happened throughout the day.
Mhm.
So there was a very observable thing that when you focus on the positive thing, it is very easy to become happy, and it is very easy to control on the other emotions as well. So
Exactly.
there was a greater emotional balance after this particular activity done. So I conducted this for 100 days. So it was very observable.
Thank you so much for this input. Maybe others can also, work on similar lines. But I personally found this very short exercise very, very useful. You start looking at life in a different way altogether. Maybe there are hundreds of things,
Exactly.
negative things happening around you, but if you just jot down 10, 5, even things which made you very happy, or even slightest bit happy, that will give you a sense of gratefulness automatically. Okay, and then it kind of layers your neurons as well. It happens at your molecular level, where you start feeling happy, as ma'am just expressed. It becomes automatic when the neural networks are formed for a long period of time. If you're doing this, it will form happy emotional states, naturally. You don't have to try very hard. You can start remaining happy within yourself as well. So, doing that, this will be one small assignment for you. Next assignment, what I would like to share is draw out your anger. Okay, we have been just talking about the texture, color, shape, and all. That's a quick react. But as a homework, draw out your anger. And what you can do is brainstorm on these questions as to reflect on your anger drawing. Of course, that's one part and parcel of the thing. Reflect, write down a few words which surfaces, and how you can relate to your drawing or your painting or your collage. You can do anything you want to. Okay, and I would like to show you this particular drawing which I made like pretty long back on anger when I was doing my emotion diary. This is what came up. Okay, so it's more like closed eyes and a lot of thunder and black clouds. At that point of time, I had a lot of anger inside me and reactive anger as well. So please draw out and see what comes up. Okay, I had to introspect and write down. With this, since we are running short of time, I will tell you what to do. Just take any color, what you feel. If you have an array of colors, it would be good. If not, whichever clay you have, for me, it would be more like a purple. Okay, so just with purple, take out and mold it into a shape. Okay, just use your palms, use your fingers, use your tools. Don't use more of those tools, but your fingers should be, molding it out. I took a small ball, like this is how I'm giving shape to my anger. Okay, purple and round, and this is my texture. Okay, this is what I have molded out of the clay. So after the class, maybe after we have Gargi in the meeting as well, I'll be shortly introducing her to all of you. So what you can do is after the class is over, after she goes you through the relaxation, you can start working on the clay and give it a shape. Okay, I'll open up the group after we are done with the class. You can maybe take a picture and post it and give a label to it, give a title to your shape of anger. Okay, any questions? Anything? This gives you an advantage with children or even with adults if you spend a lot of time, molding the clay and making it into a structure that gives a sense of relaxation as well. That's more cathartic by nature, wherein you are using certain, if you are using natural clay, nothing better than that. But even if you're using synthetic clay, it gives you a sense of relaxation while you're molding it out. Okay, you need not have fantastic sculptures, it can be anything which makes sense to you. Okay, but while you're making it, relate to how you're sculpting and what gives you that meaning. Okay, you can change, add any color, texture, any kind of form even after you finish. So it can be a project which you can work on. All right.
Ma'am,
Yes, please.
uh, how about like the saturation level of emotions? Like someone who doesn't like feel
Mhm.
anything much now, is like.
This can help to feel lighter. See, if the person is blocked, again I'm saying one session may not be enough, so you have to keep trying with other modalities as well. Okay, so you have to keep on trying with other modalities and see what they are more keen towards. Some might like collage, some might like painting, some might not like anything to do. Even you can have art-based CBT also. They like writing, or they can just stay with the sand tray as well. The small Zen sand tray which I was talking about, you can make that and keep it. Many a times I've seen clients just coming and just playing with it, not speaking at all. But then over a period of time, they just open up. They find certain things interesting where they open up.
But is it necessary or required or like to
No,
be
no, that
think
depends
to.
upon your skills, your understanding. These are just tools which can help you to initiate, certain understanding about sessions.
No, no,
So
no.
this is,
What I mean to say is, like, should someone feel angry or like feel happy?
Mhm.
Should those feelings be there, or like even if they don't feel anything about it, is it okay or?
Yes, it's absolutely okay to feel these emotions or not to feel these emotions unless and until it is causing anyone harm or the person harm, or it's disrupting with their daily life. Okay, if they are non-functional due to their anger or bottling up, then it is a problem. Then you need to explore. Otherwise, it's fine. We all feel anger. We all feel certain disgust, right? So that's not a problem. This is one thing which you can do. This is the anger thermometer, which is widely used. Okay, we'll put that in the PDF as well. The left side is more to do with elder children or adults, adolescents, and the right side is best for kids. Okay, if you have certain emotions already listed, they are more readily relatable to the children. Okay, you can have printouts, ask them how angry are you. You can have a 10 pointer scales also. So the higher you go, the more angry you are as a person. So this is a visual CBT technique, art based CBT technique, which we generally give. And this is the different parts of your body where you feel when you're angry. When you're angry, where do you feel all the anger? So this is one additional worksheet which you can do with the physiology of anger. Okay, wherein they can understand where exactly and why exactly they are feeling this way and how they can control. So this is from my end, and then now we have Gargi, are you here? I know you've been waiting for a long time.
Yes, yes, I'm here. Just a
Hi,
second.
Gargi.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah. Can you see me, right? I think everyone can see me.
Yes. So Gargi has been associated with me for a long period of time now. We have done workshops together as well.
Yes.
So welcome, Gargi, and thank you so much for
Thank
taking
you.
out time. So she's
Not a
also an
problem.
art-based therapist. and she'll be talking about certain techniques which she will inform you in a while. So you
Yes.
want me to share the screen, Gargi?
Yes, yes. You can share the PPT. Yes. Yes, right. So today I wanted to do, since you guys have been talking about anger. So I think anger also comes from holding on to a lot of things. So that is the reason I chose something like this. It is a mindfulness technique. Okay, it is a mindfulness guided imagery technique, to be very specific, and it is used in a kind of therapy called acceptance and commitment therapy. So I'll just read out what is there and try to explain it in short, and then I'll just start. Okay. Okay.
Gargi, do you need some music from my end?
Maybe something very, very calming might help.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right. You can just give me a minute. Okay.
Sure.
And then I'll start.
Ma'am, Ria, ma'am, I just have one doubt. Can I ask it now?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So when we were seeing about that clay activity, you asked us to mold the clay in some sort of shape and give a title for the anger.
Right.
Yeah. What else to do? Is that activity stops to that?
Basically, we are looking into how we are shaping up the anger. Okay,
Okay.
so once you work on it, it's the same procedure which we generally follow. We write about it, we journal about it, why we have given that shape, and the title as well. So once I'm doing the anxiety, the next class, we'll try to relate it. Okay, because
Oh,
anxiety also has some form of same physiological mechanisms, and we'll see whether it's anxiety or anger, which is coming out through expression of anger. Anxiety which is coming out through expressions of anger.
okay.
Right? If you have seen a lot of children, they get very easily frustrated, easily gives up. That might be due to underlying anxiety. Okay,
Okay.
so when
Hmm.
you are working on it, you bring that particular object or whatever you have molded into the next class.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
Yes.
Thank
Okay, Ria, you can
Yes.
share the
Yes. Right.
music, but
Right.
the volume will be very low.
Volume should be lower.
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay. Okay. Is it fine?
I can't hear.
Oh, okay. Now?
Can't hear you still. Can anyone else hear?
you. No, ma'am.
No?
No, 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 no. I can't.
Let me see. I don't know why it's not audible. Now?
It's okay if it is. No, no, I still can't. It's okay if there is no music. It's fine. You can maybe just share the PPT.
Okay.
Yeah, right. Yes. Okay. So yeah, I'll just very shortly talk about it. I'll just read it out from here. Okay. So this technique that I'll be doing, it is very much practiced in a type of therapy called acceptance and commitment therapy to cope with uncomfortable thoughts and feelings. anger, anxiety, sadness, and a lot of other, jealousy, or a lot of other things, which we label as uncomfortable feelings or thoughts, can be coped through this thing that we will do in a very short while. This technique uses a concept called cognitive diffusion, which means looking at thoughts rather than from them. I want all of you to notice whenever we are sad, we do often say, or let's say a thought, okay? We often do say that if we fail at something, we often say, I am worthless, or I am sad, right? So what cognitive diffusion is that it speaks about seeing an emotion as an emotion, seeing a thought as a thought, rather than me being that thought. Whenever I'm saying I'm worthless, it is that I am becoming worthless because I am saying that to myself. When I say I am sad, or I am anxious, or I am angry, even, I become that emotion. What cognitive diffusion says is that we don't become that thought, or we don't become that emotion. It is an emotion that we are experiencing. I can say I am experiencing an emotion of anger rather than me being angry, right? It's the same thing, but just changing the words can mean that you are different. You are a person, and you can have different sorts of emotions, and anger is just one of that. And you don't allow it to consume all of your mind space. It gives you a choice, rather. So it is written in that way here only. Noticing thoughts rather than getting them, or getting caught up, or buying into the thought. The thought, let's say I am worthless, rather noticing that I'm having a thought that I'm worthless, rather than being caught up or buying into the thought that I am actually worthless. Letting thoughts come and go rather than holding on to the thought. So as I said, this a lot of uncomfortable emotions do come up because we experience them and we hold on to them rather than letting them go. Yeah, can you go to the next page? No, let it be, right? So we'll see the next page later because there are a bit of reflective questions. But before that, let's start with the exercise, the imagery technique, right? So I'll just give all of you one moment to sit in a comfortable position, whichever, if you want to sit while you are sitting, or you want to go somewhere else. I would also prefer a quieter room wherever you are sitting. If you want to dim the light, or you want to keep the light as it is, you can make the changes around you as you want to, but just make it comfortable for you. So I will start now. I invite you all to sit in a comfortable yet upright position in your chair, or wherever you are sitting, with your feet flat on the floor, or however you are sitting. Your arms and legs uncrossed, and your hands resting on your lap. Let your eyes gently close, or you can fix them on a point in front of you. Take a couple of gentle, deep breaths in and breathe out. Notice the sound and feel of your own breath as you breathe in and breathe out. And do it for a couple of times. And try to notice the sound and the feel. Now, I'd like you to imagine that you are standing by the bank of a gently flowing stream.
watching the water flow. Imagine feeling the ground beneath you, the sounds of the water flowing past, and the way the stream looks as you watch it. Imagine that there are leaves from trees of all different shapes, sizes, and colors floating past on the stream, and you are just watching these float on the stream. This is all you need to do for the time being. Just watch them float on the stream. Start to become aware of your thoughts, feelings, or sensations. Each time you notice a thought, feeling, or sensation, imagine placing it on a leaf and letting it float down the stream. Do this regardless of whether the thoughts, feelings, or sensations are positive or negative, pleasurable or painful. Even if they are the most wonderful thoughts, place them on a leaf and let them flow by. If your thoughts stop, it's okay. Just watch the stream. Sooner or later, your thoughts should start up again. Allow the stream to flow at its own rate. Notice any urges to speed up or slow down the stream, and let these be on leaves as well. Place those urges on the leaves and let the stream flow however it will. If you have thoughts, feelings, or sensations about doing this exercise, place these on leaves as well and let it flow. Sometimes it might also happen that a leaf gets stuck or won't go away. Let it hang around for a little while. All you are doing is observing this experience at this moment. There is no need to force the leaf down the stream. If you find yourself getting caught up with a thought or feeling, such as boredom or impatience, simply acknowledge it. Say to yourself, here is a feeling of boredom, or here is a feeling of impatience. Then place those words on a leaf on by. You are just observing each experience and placing it on a leaf on the stream. It is normal and natural to lose track of this exercise. And I assure you that it might keep on happening. But when you notice yourself losing track, just bring yourself back to watching the leaves on the stream. Notice the stream and place any thoughts, feelings, or sensations on the leaves and let them gently flow down the stream. Finally, allow the image of the stream to dissolve and slowly bring your attention back to where you are sitting in the room. Notice anything that you can hear right now, anything that you can feel right now, any thoughts in your head, and gently open your eyes whenever you are ready and notice what you see around you. You can push your feet into the floor or wherever you are sitting and have a good stretch. Notice this also, yourself stretching. And welcome back. Ria, can you go to the next page?
Yes.
Okay, so here are some reflection questions. But before I begin, I would just like to know if anyone would like to say how they felt. Whoever wants to speak up, or if you want to write, that is fine as well. Please share, whatever you felt, any problems that you had. And it's very normal to feel or have problems in an exercise you might be doing for the first time.
Ma'am, I personally felt it was hard for me to give all my attention towards the
Hmm.
exercise. Going in and out,
Okay.
I felt many characters jumping inside the exercise and going out. And I went out of the
Okay.
exercise
Okay.
totally, jumping in.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. And
Yeah.
that's very
So,
normal again, Yeah. Yes, yes, I will give you the script. Okay, I'll also give you in YouTube also. I think there is a pre-recorded things that are there, so I will also provide you with that if you want to do it, right? Yes, I think you were saying something. Sorry to cut you off in between. Do you want to say
that's
something
okay,
else,
ma'am.
Raksha?
Yeah. This can it be applied for
Yes.
patients who have attention deficit problems?
Look, this is a mindfulness exercise, right? And whenever you are doing any mindfulness exercise, there are a lot of basic exercise or basic um, things that you need to learn or understand before you do any mindfulness exercise with your clients. So go through that first. Going through them are very, there are three rules in mindfulness, that you watch or you just observe. You observe it non-judgmentally, right?
Hmm.
So going through the basics are very important, right? If you are working with a person who has ADHD, of course it can help them immensely they practice this, but before doing it, it can be very difficult for them, of course. So that is the reason I'm telling you that you start with the very basics. So what we do is that for doing the very basics, I give my clients that, okay, suppose let's say you are having the morning tea, right? So when you're having the morning tea, just be in the moment while you're having the tea, right? When you're having the tea, feel how it feels inside your mouth. Feel when you gulp down the tea, how does it feel on your throat, right? Does it feel much sweeter than last day or less sweet, or the texture, right? So that is how you start mindfulness, the basic skills, right? Where, you try to see something, observe something, attend to it without being judgmental about it. So those are the very basic things that if you learn, I think that will, really help you to begin any sort of exercise regarding mindfulness with your client. Okay, and then of course you can come up to these things. And as I said, it's very normal, for us human beings to get our minds into this exercise at one go. You will go and come out multiple times, but that's okay. If you're building up a skill, it will take time, and that's fine. Don't judge yourself. Don't be harsh on yourself. Be kind to yourself. It's very normal.
Okay.
Okay. In the beginning, it was tough to let go of thoughts, but later I was able to manage to let go of a few thoughts. It was good watching them flowing away from me. Yes, if you keep on doing it, if it doesn't work out for you the first time, if you do it multiple times, you will, understand how it feels to let go, right? Yes, I would. I think Dinaz, right? Yes, please tell me.
Uh, it felt really peaceful and powerful
Right.
to be an observer, and I could feel
Yeah.
like, okay, I don't need to hang on to this. And I have had a couple of rough days in the past, and I was like, okay, I can just let it go, let it flow. And the more I did that, like in the middle of the meditation, I could not keep my eyes open, but then I remembered you said that it's okay to fix your gauge,
Yes.
at one
Yes.
point. And I was
Yes.
just looking at that tree trunk of the previous slide, and I was like,
Yes.
okay, I'm still looking at the stream, don't worry.
Yes.
And here it goes, वो चला ये गया, अच्छा लग रहा है. So thank you for that experience. I really felt amazing to
Thank
not
you so
hold
much.
on to that.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is something really different, it's
Yes.
something very peaceful.
Right.
So,
Right. Yes. And a lot of negative emotions or uncomfortable emotions do come up when we hold on to it, right? And
I know.
when we replay it in our minds again and again, whether it's anxiety, anger, or anything that makes us uncomfortable. Thank
And
you
the
for
more
sharing your experience.
the
Yes,
more
yes.
you keep on replaying
Yes.
it, so
Yes.
it feels like it's happening right now.
Right
So
now,
it's
right?
like-
So you relive the experience so many times,
Exactly.
even after it has happened, which you don't need to, right? You can just let go and be at peace, because whatever happened, you can't fix that, right? As you know, as Ria said, that the locus of control is within you. If you want to react or not is a choice you can make if you feel you have a choice, right? So yeah.
I read a line somewhere in the video that there is a place for the past,
Yes.
and it's in the past. So let it
Exactly.
stay there. And that is something that I have been trying to follow and implement. But thank you so much for the exercise. I feel really happy that I joined the class. And as always, I am taking so much more from today's classes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing. Yes, Sagarika, please tell me how you're feeling. Any thoughts? Tell me about it.
Yeah, thank you for such a wonderful experience.
Thank
And
you.
like initially, everything was very good, going nice, but somehow I started feeling some pain in my body, especially in my legs. Like cramps started coming. And yeah, and like I was choosing that what I need to let go. It was not very spontaneous coming to me.
Okay. Okay. Right.
So, although I was trying to like just to let go everything, but still I was thinking like, should I do this or should I do this? Let go this or should I let go this?
Okay.
So, but very this thing that I had a very like bad cramp in my leg and that feeling of pain.
Okay, okay, right. So listening to it gives me a feeling, when you said about, not being able to be spontaneous and also physical pain, a lot of, so as I said, it just makes me feel that maybe you are holding on to again a lot of anger or a lot of pain or a lot of uncomfortable emotions inside you. So I think, that might be a reason why you experienced what you experienced, right? But again, we can't discuss everything here.
Yeah.
So maybe a little bit more deeper understanding of it. One of the questions that was there in the reflection questions was also, what hooked you? What would you say, Sagarika, what hooked you in the, what hooking is? I'll tell you in very short. What held you back? What thoughts were there that you could not let go of? Where did you see the leave stopping, and it won't go away, right? So if you can just share maybe one thought, because of course it's a lot of people are there. If you're not comfortable sharing, that's totally fine. But if you can you share one thing at least?
I think you're very much you are like you got it. What I want to tell you, what I was feeling. Yeah, there was something which I was not able to let go. So maybe I'm trying it hard to do it, but maybe it will take time.
Yeah. Of course, there are, very a lot of things that happens in our lives which we can't let go so easily. One exercise like this will never be enough to do that, right? You have to maybe process it, or maybe there are some steps that you have to do before doing this. Of course, at one point of time, you have to let go, but I think, when we experience trauma or when we experience any negative emotion, it is not just our mind, our body also experiences it, and it keeps a memory of it very nicely. So I think when you wanted to let go, your body maybe, again, when it went back to that space where you were reliving that past or whatever happened, and it became very uncomfortable for your body as well.
Yes,
right?
very
So,
true, very true.
so I think maybe that is what can be a probable reason because of which you experience this. Anyone else who would, Sagarik, of course, thank you for, telling me how you felt. Right? Yes. Anyone else who would want to experience, or, just tell me how the experience was, or any thoughts that hooked you, any good feedbacks or things that did not work out for you, anything that you would want to share? Yes, please, Sajana, tell me about.
So the stream thing has very deep connection with my heart. Like whenever I have, I am overwhelmed or something, I just tend to go and watch video or listen to music where I can see stream. And then this was like after a tiring day and then so many thoughts. I when I started, it was very soothing to see that stream. And leaf, I was able to hold in that leaf and then feel and enjoy for a moment, right? And then when it came that leaf was leaving my hand, I felt a little bit sad.
Okay.
I don't know from where it was coming, but I felt like, okay, now this is not with me.
Okay.
But again, at the end, I was able to calm myself down. Thank you so much for this. But I think I have to take time and process it a little bit. That's what I felt.
Yeah. No. Right. Thank you for sharing. I think, again, when you said that, it was maybe you felt a tinge of unhappiness when you let go. When we are keeping something within us for such a long time, positive, comfortable, uncomfortable, when we let go of that, of course, sometimes it can again make us feel sad, right? So I think that's again a very normal, natural emotion that you felt if you could let go something, right? Thank you for telling us about how you are feeling. Right. I think someone else also raised their hand.
Yeah, it's me. Shall I go
Right.
ahead?
Yes. Yes. Please. Please. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yes. Yes.
Yes, so the first thing was an amazing exercise. I really felt so much at peace at this
So
moment, but
much.
I was being
Yeah.
distracted
Mm.
by many thoughts. But the part
Okay.
where you mentioned that I have to put the impatience under the leaves and let it go, I think that was the part which was
Yeah.
quite grounding in nature and it
Mm-hmm.
increases the window of tolerance for me.
Yeah.
So I was able to, because I realized one thing, I was being distracted because some confrontational thoughts were coming up and I was some sort of distracting it or displacing it. But then
Okay.
again, the moment you mentioned that I have to put the impatience on the leaves, I was
Right.
able to ground myself and I was able to connect with what I was dismissing. So that
Mm.
was quite helpful.
Right, right. Yes, I think you gave a very good example of cognitive diffusion is what I was talking about. That you observe yourself, whatever you are feeling or whatever you are thinking, rather than being consumed by it. So because you could
Absolutely.
observe, you could place that on the leaf and you could let it go, without being consumed by that thought which you were in the very beginning. So I think that's really
Yes,
nice that you
so
could
true.
experience
It felt like I was not putting myself on burden. It
that.
was something
Mm-hmm.
else that I was, that some a leaf was able to hold that burden, not me.
Right,
And I was
right.
just looking at it. So it was so much at peace I felt after doing it. Thank
Right.
you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for telling us about how you felt. Okay, so I think Ria, I think you can take over now. I think.
Thank you so much, Gargi.
Thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.
Thank you so much
And
for letting me know.
thanks
Yeah.
to all of you for today's class. It's almost 9:40, so everyone must be very hungry by this time. So we'll meet again next week. And any more questions, any assignments and all, we'll be discussing it next week. So whatever we have been doing is part of your assignment. Again, reiterating 10 assignments for the entire coursework. And then we'll be soon commencing with the internships. For online students, again, I have paired you and I'll be sending you the entire document by, say, Saturday. So if you have any issues, if you have any problems, let me know personally. The phone numbers I'll be sharing by mail for each group. Okay, so that you all can coordinate, and it's mostly city wise, so it will be easier for you all to meet up or conduct the assignments. Okay, thank you so much. Do
Ma'am,
complete your work because every week, otherwise, it will keep on piling. And the clay thing, which I had told you, since Gargi has already put you into a relaxed state, please, work on the clay activity which we just talked about, and please bring it for the next class.
ma'am, excuse me, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, can you reshare the link for uploading our assignments?
Yes, I'll do that. I'll do that on Saturday along with the recordings and PDFs.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, for hybrid students, can we select our own partner or you
Yes.
will give a list?
Since we have already met, you must be having your own partners. So I'll just put a post in the group. You keep on mentioning your partners. Okay. For hybrid students, I'll work it around. I'll put it in the group. Right. You can choose
Okay,
your own partners. No problem.
okay, okay.
Hi, can you please
Okay.
explain
Yes.
how the
Yes.
internship and this partnership is going to work
Internship for online or offline students?
online?
Online students, you have to look for a place or maybe an NGO or talk to someone in your local area and take up one individual. If you can't find through therapeutic settings, maybe any one individual you can work upon and try out all these activities for introspection.
All right. And the
Again, I'll
partnership
explain
that
it
you're
in the
talking
next
about,
class.
that is different?
Sorry.
The partnerships that you were talking about, is that different?
No, the partner, it would be easier if you can work upon each other. If you sit together, because art based therapies is not only about self learning, you need to sit together, brainstorm. It will be easier for you to learn. Okay, that's why I have grouped you all. So if you are grouping together, you can do the project work or the assignments together itself. And since I'll be talking about the presentation part also, maybe both of you can work on it. And so that will be like a short webinar, which you will be presenting for. All the details I'll give you in the next week's class.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, all right. So good night and thanks once
Thank you.
again.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.